What do you feel like it's costing you to be busy in your relationships?
So there have been times where, everything does come down to a choice I have to make. What's most important in that moment, and what is that connected or tied to, right? And so there have been a lot of times where I've been like, oh, crap, like I'm going to miss out on that picture. I'm not in a picture because I left early to go do something else. Or, oh man, I totally didn't get that inside joke because I had no context because I wasn't around that group when they had that conversation. So there are definitely things like that. And then, there are also like things that may not have to do with busyness, but they could. And things like, there's some people in your life that need a different kind of friend who is available to who has maybe the same cadence of their life, right? So an example would be like, okay, so somebody who may not have young kids, right? And their cadence is a similar path as someone who maybe is retired, And so they may come to me and be like, oh, I was just hoping that you would just be my person that would go and do all of this with me. And then they realize that's not me, or my life doesn't include that. And then they have to figure out, And so I think I have missed, probably I noticed it more through my years of like the kids being younger. I had some friends who didn't have kids, and they were like, you gonna come? And I'm like, I can't come with you to go do that really cool thing that we totally could do before. And so it changed the dynamic of that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as different life stages would for anybody at any given time, for sure, that has to be kind of reevaluated and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think about in our relationship and our girls group, the ways we interact and it's interesting because it's hard sometimes to talk about our friendship when it's also a friendship of five of us that we we do so much. I mean, we all have like these separate friendships for sure, but it's interesting how much of it is the five of us. And right now the five of us have a friendship that is every Sunday a Zoom meeting. That sounds kind of formal, but we get on Zoom from 4:30 to 6, and our statement is, if you can make it, and if you can't, you can't, right? And so we don't like it. So sometimes there's only two people there, sometimes all five of us are there. I've missed a lot of them, and so there's one opportunity when you're there and then you're not there. So there's like one way there. And then we also have Marco Polo, which is we're on there some weeks, like every day, somebody's leaving a message on there. And there's times where I've looked and I'm like, Karen is behind by 57 messages, and my whole heart just like dies for you. I'm just like, I'm like, oh my word, she's going to have to like sit out on her car for like 12 hours to like catch up on all of that. Right. And then we have get-togethers where we all are like traveling somewhere and getting together. And so how have you made decisions about how much of those to show up for, because you have not missed a get-together. You've come in late, or you've left early, or you've sometimes had work meetings while we're at those. And so you've been distracted sometimes. You haven't missed one. But you've missed a lot on Marco Polo, and you've missed a lot of Zoom. And I have too, the Zoom ones. I'm not always available on Sundays. But how has that affected you feeling with all of us?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things. Like, I think that the intention behind like having a space where we could share both ways, I know is important. I know it's important to me because I always feel uplifted after that. I think for me personally, and I can't speak for all busy people. I can speak for me.
Nope, just you.
And
just you
I
and
will
me.
speak
Right now,
for me,
you
and
me.
I will say that in the time frame that comes when maybe there's something that's really stressing me, right, or distressing me, I should say, and that call comes, whether I am feeling like it's going to reduce my stress significantly, or I'll feel better taking that, time to finish whatever it was that I needed to get done. Sometimes I'll opt for that because it will decrease the stress significantly if I take care of that. And I mean, strangely, I feel like that's self-care. I don't necessarily feel like I'm not adding something to my plate in place of. It's something that I'm trying to like reduce. But that being said, the other thing that comes up significant about that time in terms of Marco Polo or the call is, it was huge. And this, I think, is definitely a theme that more than I feel is no penalty friendship, which is, we do accept, you for who you are, and we support you at your best self. And it was so nice to hear that, like, beginning of the year when it was myself and it was another person who were struggling through some really heavy stuff. And it was like, you guys, you please know that we're here for enhancement of who you are and to bolster and support you. And if the thought stresses you of coming, in that moment, we would rather, it not be a stressor. Because I think that's what I was sharing with you earlier, Shasta, is that if you're someone who is kind of driven by their to-do list, and I'm not saying it's always like a pain, it's more like, I think that it's often filled my cup. My to-do list is not necessarily a negative, but it's a balance that's very hard to keep, right? And so if you think of your communication with your friends as a like, it's just one more thing I have to do. It's an obligation. Yeah, one more task. Yeah. Or you feel guilted, like, and so there's many different personalities that can feel guilted about that. Easily. Then you're definitely not, it's not enhancing. You even start to almost like resent that. So knowing that I can show up when, I can, and that people find different ways to check in with me. For some busy people like me, it's like, a Hail Mary of a text is like, I know you're thinking about me in the moment, and it breaks whatever's happening in my life to, oh, that's right, I do have friends that care. They're like paying attention even if I can't, pop in. And knowing that you do believe that I would be there for you if you need to reach out. You know what I mean? That I will show up for the most important things that you need